brief history of sedition.
Hear ye, hear ye! The year is 1791. Congress ratifies the Bill of Rights.
Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated. No person shall be held to answer for any capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. In all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial, to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation, to be confronted with the witnesses against him, to have compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in his favor, and to have the assistance of counsel for his defense. These rights are not guaranteed to non-whites, women, and people without a pot to piss in.
Hear ye, hear ye! The year is now 1798. President Adams signs the Alien and Sedition Acts, 4 bills that were introduced by the Federalists to stop seditious attacks from weakening our government. We now take you live to the Executive Mansion, where President Adams and Vice President Jefferson are discussing this issue.
John! Talk to me! What the hell were you thinking?
What?
The Alien Act requires immigrants to reside in the United States for 14 years instead of 5 to qualify for citizenship.
I did it because of the French. Don't you see? The French want to take us over.
What? The French were our allies just a few years ago. Don't you remember? They're the reason we won the war. Don't you remember that blockade?
They hate us for our freedom, Tom.
For our freedom? The French? Are you crazy, John? I mean, John, have you ever kissed a French girl? Because if not, let me tell you about Angelique. There's freedom. Right, sorry. John, do you know this Patriot Act gives you the legal right to expel those that you consider to be dangerous? Mr. President, even you know that patriotism is the last refuge of scoundrels.
They hate us for our freedom, Tom.
Stop saying that!
And it's true. And I'm gonna punish anyone who issues false, scandalous, and malicious writings against our government with fines and imprisonment.
Have you read the First Amendment, John? I know it's a relatively new document, but we worked really hard on that thing. Besides, you have to think about how history is going to judge your presidency.
History? Who cares? We'll all be dead.
Dead? You're joking, right? I myself plan to be on the nickel and the $2 bill. And if you don't repeal this Patriot Act immediately, I will never speak to you again.
The $2 bill? Huh. Boy, you always think so highly of yourself, Tommy.
Hear ye, hear ye! The year is now 1780. Jefferson defeats Adams. Alien and Sedition Acts are set to expire and will not be renewed. The nickel and the $2 bill appear to be a lock for Jefferson. Hear ye, hear ye! The year is now 1861. Lincoln, claiming the right of presidential war powers, has suspended the writ of habeas corpus for those accused of disloyal activities. Many suspected Confederate sympathizers have been arrested and held without formal charges. The writ of habeas corpus, an important civil liberties safeguard and cornerstone of English common law, requires the government to provide to a court the reasons why a prisoner is being held.
I must preserve the Union at any cost. Any citizens found discouraging volunteer enlistment, resisting militia drafts, or found guilty of any disloyal practices such as affording aid and comfort to the rebels are going to be tried and punished under military law.
But by denying them the right by a trial by jury in a civilian court. Look, I'm pretty hammered, but I think that's unconstitutional, Mr. President.
Hear ye! Hear ye! Hundreds of civilians were arrested and tried by the military tribunals. Lincoln's action was found to be in violation of the Constitution. Fortunately for Mr. Lincoln, Congress belatedly ratified Lincoln's suspension of the writ in 1863. Hear ye! Hear ye! The year is now 1875, and the Grant administration, in a last-ditch effort to protect what remains of Reconstruction, has passed a civil rights bill.
And I quote, "All persons within the jurisdiction of the United States shall be entitled to the full and equal employment of the accommodations, advantages, facilities, and privileges of inns, public conveyances on land or water, theaters, and other places of public amusement, subject only to the conditions and limitations established by law and applicable alike to citizens of every race and color, regardless of any previous condition of servitude." And that's the way it should have always been!
Hear ye! Hear ye! The year is now 1881. President James Garfield has been assassinated. Vice President Chester A. Arthur has been sworn in. President Arthur.
Whereas, in the opinion of the government of the United States, the coming of Chinese laborers to this country endangers the good order of certain localities within the territories thereof, be it enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress, that from and after the expiration of 90 days of the passage of this act, and until the expiration of 10 years after the passage of this act, the coming of Chinese laborers to the United States be, and the same is hereby, suspended. And during such suspension it shall not be lawful for any Chinese laborer to come, or having so come after the expiration of said 90 days, to remain within the United States. So duly signed, Chester Allen Arthur.
Hear ye! Hear ye! The year is now 1883. And the United States Supreme Court has ruled that the Civil Rights Act of 1875 forbidding discrimination in hotels, trains, and other public spaces was unconstitutional and not authorized by the 13th or 14th Amendments of the Constitution. Hey, I know I'm just a town crier, but I mean, jeez! Okay, listen up. The year is now 1886. The statue, Liberty Enlightening the World, has been dedicated here in New York City on October 28th.
Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land. Here, at our sea-washed sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name, Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin cities frame. Keep, ancient lands, your storied pomp, cries she with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to be free. The wretched refuse of your teeming shores. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed, to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door.
I like the way she thinks. Hear ye, the year is now 1896. The United States Supreme Court has ruled on Plessy v. Ferguson and held the Louisiana segregation statute constitutional. Will somebody please get me out of the 19th century?
Extra, extra, read all about it. Woodrow Wilson, the Democratic candidate for president, has promised fairness and justice for our blacks if elected.
All right. Hey, kid, look, I got this, all right? Hear ye! Hear ye! The year is now 1912, and Wilson wrote a letter to black church officials stating, Woodrow Wilson wrote a letter to black church officials stating,
Well, let me tell you. Should I become President of the United States, you may count upon me for an absolute fair dealing for everything for which I can assist in advancing the interests of your race.
yeah, but after the election, Wilson dismissed 15 out of 17 black supervisors who had previously been appointed to federal jobs and replaced them with whites. He also refused to appoint black ambassadors to Haiti and Santo Domingo, posts traditionally awarded to African Americans. 2 of Wilson's cabinet ministers, Postmaster General Albert Burleson and Treasury Secretary William McAdoo, both Southerners, issued orders segregating their departments. Throughout the country, blacks were segregated or dismissed from federal positions. In Georgia, the head of the Internal Revenue Division fired all black employees, stating,
There are no government positions for Negroes in the South. A Negro's place is in the cornfield. Extra, extra, read all about it. Woodrow Wilson wins re-election. He kept us out of war.
This kid's trying to take my job. Hear ye, hear ye. The year is now 1917. And direct from Woodrow Wilson, the candidate who promised to keep you out of the war, we bring you the Great War, also known as the War to End All Wars. This war leads to the Sedition Act of 1918.
This Sedition Act of 1918 forbids Americans to use disloyal, profane, scurrilous, or abusive language about the USA, and makes it a crime to utter, print, write, or publish any abusive language about the United States form of government. Now go arrest that Eugene Debs character. I hear that son of a bitch is planning to run for office again, and we can't have that.
Extra, extra, read all about it. The U.S. Supreme Court upholds Debs versus United States. U.S. citizens, including members of the Industrial Workers of the World Union, which was founded by Debs, are being imprisoned for their anti-war dissent under the provisions of the Sedition Act. Anti-war protesters are being arrested by the hundreds for speaking out against the draft and the war.
Hey kid, you're really starting to aggravate me here. All right? On December 13th, 1920, Congress repealed the Sedition Act. Now, can we please get on with some enlightenment here, please? Oh, thank you. Oh, this just in. Hear ye, hear ye! The Alien Registration Act, or Smith Act of 1940, makes it a criminal offense for anyone to knowingly or willfully advocate, abet, advise, or teach the duty, necessity, desirability, or propriety of overthrowing the government of the United States or of any state by force or violence, or for anyone to organize any association which teaches, advises, or encourages such an overthrow, or for anyone to become a member of or to affiliate with such an association. We now join FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover and President Franklin Roosevelt as they discuss how best to use sedition charges to suppress the people's will.
I want to use sedition charges to suppress black newspapers. They're undermining the war effort with reports of racial dissension and all these crazy demands for civil rights.
Sorry, too risky, Jay. With the First Amendment and all, I don't want to go messing with any newspaper folks, not even the dark ones. No, how about we authorize the forceful relocation of the Japanese Americans? We'll send them all to camps, and we'll call them war relocation camps.
Brilliant! I love camping.
Extra, extra! February 19th, 1942, just 74 days after the December 7th attack on Pearl Harbor, President Roosevelt signed Executive Order 9066. This order would culminate in the forced removal of approximately 120,000 ethnic Japanese and their incarceration in 10 internment camps. Stalag, USA!
Hear ye, hear ye! We jump now to the year 1956. The FBI launches counterintelligence programs, COINTELPRO. COINTELPRO is the acronym for a series of covert action programs designed to expose, neutralize, disrupt, and discredit domestic dissidents and political groups. I can't believe this is the 20th century.
Wait in the car, Clyde. Originally designed to undermine the Communist Party in the United States, COINTELPRO expanded to include anti-Vietnam War demonstrators, campus protesters, civil rights activists, and the New Left, and other domestic groups. COINTELPRO techniques, which were adopted from wartime counterintelligence operations, went beyond the collection of intelligence to undercover activities that were designed to disrupt and create dissension within the targeted groups. Wiretapping, break-ins, buggings of homes and offices, and the use of informants were just some of the techniques employed.
Extra, extra, read all about it. The U.S. Supreme Court declares on March 9, 1964, that the Sedition Act of the Adams administration was unconstitutional.
You shitting me, right?
Nope.
Hear ye, hear ye! Hey. All right, look, you know what? I'm gonna skip past Nixon, Reagan, and Bush the First, okay? The date is October 26, 2001, and the USA Patriot Act has been signed. That's right, the Uniting and Strengthening America by Providing Appropriate Tools Required to Intercept and Obstruct Terrorism Act of 2001.
This act increases the ability of law enforcement agencies to search telephone, email communications, medical, financial, and other records, eases restrictions on foreign intelligence gathering within the United States. The act is over 300 pages in length, and its complexity makes it difficult to easily comprehend the changes it has set in place. It was not available to the public and was barely made available to members of Congress. Nonetheless, the act was passed by wide margins in both houses of Congress and was supported by members of both the Republican and Democratic parties. As the bill was rushed through Congress, the Patriot Act became immediately controversial as civil liberties groups argued that these provisions gutted constitutional protections provided to citizens for generations. The bill was brought to the floor of the House of Representatives on October 23rd, the same day it was introduced. The act was signed 45 days after the World Trade Center attack. What a country! I mean, talk about a beacon of light in a dark world.
In July 2005, the U.S. Senate passed a reauthorization bill. The bill passed Congress on March 2nd, 2006, and was signed into law by President George W. Bush on March 9th and 10th, 2006. On June 6th, Fahad Hashmi was arrested in London. Hear ye, hear ye. The time is now. And there is nothing funny about what is going on. Do you hear us?
Yes!
What the hell is it going to take? Where are our politicians? Where was Hillary Clinton? Where is Chuck Schumer? Where is Eric Holder? Where is the Obama administration? Where is the media? Where is the media? What is it going to take before they realize that I am Fahad Hashmi? I am Fahad Hashmi. I am Fahad Hashmi. I am Fahad Hashmi. I am Fahad Hashmi. Thank you.
It is an extremely important case for civil liberties of all Americans. I think it's part of the withering of the press that it wasn't done. I mean, the press, if you take the print press, newspapers are dying. They're terrified of losing advertisers. That has made them even more timid than they usually are. And the commercial electronic media has become a joke, a farce. It's trivia, gossip, Tiger Woods, celebrity crap. There's been a huge cultural shift, a huge destruction of journalism, which always was classist, always was too ready to accept the position embraced by the elite. It told lies, but they tended to be lies of omission. It's what they didn't cover, this being a good example. But certainly within my own lifetime, over my own career, I've watched how a flawed commercial media has become utterly gutless. And so we can't discount the moral bankruptcy that has gripped what's left of what we would call serious journalism as opposed to sort of celebrity gossip. At this point, journalism is transforming itself. This period of time when journalists were members of the middle class, and that's over. Journalism will go back to what it was, which is people who care about issues of justice and passion and live on a shoestring. Journalists will again become members of the working class. They won't be able to pay $36,000 a year to go to Columbia Journalism School, not that they should waste their money doing that. So journalism itself is being transformed, and you're evidence of that right here.
Drop their